Today's weather report is brought to you by the snow. It looks like it's going to be a snowy day. A storm's supposed to head to the northeast vector of America. The book that supposedly will be making its rounds during this wintry watch and warning will be A Good Girl's Guide to Murder.
All right, I am 100 pages into The Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I have to tell you, already I am really enjoying this book. I think that for the most part, for a debut author, Miss Holly Jackson has definitely found her voice, and it's fun, it's exciting, it's mysterious, and it's everything that you really want for like a YA book, but also for that murder mystery thriller type of book genre that you're looking for. So, I really enjoy it. I do think that it's too early to make any real predictions for the book. Right now, we have three people on the list of potential murderers, and well, technically four, because of course, the supposed murderer could still be the murderer. Who knows? But what it is there's this young girl named Pippa who is trying to solve this murder that happened a couple years before in her small town for her senior project. Now, I don't know what kind of school makes you have like this big senior project that could actually be a murder investigation. Could that happen in reality? I don't know. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I could be living in small town America that doesn't have a murder mystery senior thesis, but anyways, it is fiction. So, I will not beat that dead horse. Um, but we're following the story of Pippa exploring and investigating this crime that took place years before when she was just a young girl. Now, Pippa does, through this investigation, begin to assume that the person who was the potential murderer is not actually the murderer, and she's putting together a list of people that could be. So far we have three people, like I said, on this list. And through the first 100 pages, we find her starting out the investigation, talking to people, stepping on some toes, because not everyone inside of this small town wants her to rehash the history. They've already made up their minds, and even though there was no conviction, they have decided that they know what happened to this young girl, and she was murdered, and she was murdered by this specific person. Now, during these investigations, Pippa makes friends and potential lovers with the potential or the assumed murderer's brother. So, drama ensues. For the most part, I've enjoyed the entire story, and the craft has been decent. There were a couple little things that I did struggle with at first. For example, she gives us all this information and mixed media platform of unfolding this case. And in regards to the case and the murder investigation, it's very well written and portrayed and set out for us. But for the narrative of her life, it was very awkward and a little bit forced at first. So it was almost like a data dump of who she was and who everyone around her was in the short narratives that are in between the case notes. It did resolve itself, I think, because I feel like by chapter 10 and 11, there's like a normalcy to Pippa's life, and it feels like we know her by then. But at first, it's very awkward to try to kind of figure out who she is and who everyone around her is. But like I said, it does resolve itself, so I think I can put that to bed. However, I do, being a book lover, have to just say that that was a problem that I had. And then also, there's a lot of leaps to conclusions, kind of reaches, that I felt were just a little too unrealistic. And I know, once again, this is fiction, so none of it's realistic. But There was just a couple little things. Like, for example, when she goes to meet the brother of this supposed murderer, there was a little bit of pushback by him, like the smallest teeny bit of pushback. But then all of a sudden, he's like best friends with this girl, and and running into her all over the place, and then unfolding and throwing everything he knows about his brother in this murder case onto her, like they've known each other their whole lives and he can trust her. Which I don't think is a realistic expectation for someone whose brother has been accused of murder, whose brother committed his suicide on his own, and also, not to mention the fact that he lives in a small town and everyone in this town has basically accused his brother, and they have put like this big red mark on that family. So I don't feel like that would be a realistic jump for him to just all of a sudden trust someone and let them in, because they have a pretty face, or they're funny, or they're cute, or intense, or whatever it is that draws him to her. But other than that, I'm 100 pages in. I don't know who did it. I think it's way too early to kind of tell. It is great mystery, because if you read a book and you can predict who it is right away, that book is just not well done, I suppose, as a thriller mystery. But I'm 100 pages in. I have no idea who did it. So I am interested. I am, I think, hooked. So I'm very excited to kind of get there. The next time I film this, I probably will be on page 200, and I'll give you an update and if I have any assumptions of who did it yet. All right. See you then. What are we doing?
Worker builders.
We're the worker builders, and we are building a sign that says write, read, repeat. Write, read, repeat.
I got
Write,
this on
read,
Christmas.
repeat. You got that on Christmas?
Yeah, I got this.
He got his own
Tool set.
tool set.
And look, I know how to use the hammer. I still don't know how.
Uh-oh.
At least that didn't hurt.
All right, so onward we go. All right, good job.
Oh my bad.
What do you think?
What?
What do you think?
What do you mean?
Do you like working in the garage?
Oh yeah, it's fun.
Well, it was bound to happen. Our dear friend Pip has officially committed a crime in the process of trying to solve a crime. Fancy that. It was bound to happen. I mean, come on, every good crime fighter bends the rules a little bit here and there, right? Well, she's bending them a little bit more than you would think. But it's been about 100 pages, so now I'm at 212, and we have 7 suspected killers now, and I know that it's going to continue to grow, because I still have about 180 more pages to go, or maybe 160 more pages to go. But as it stands, I think that her sister might have something to do with it. And there's way too many older men in this picture, like friends of, like parents of friends and stuff, and I don't know where it's gonna go, so we will see. One of these parents one of these men that are teaching at the school probably did it. We will see. Anyways, I will get back to you on my next check-in. Hopefully I'll be done with the book in the morning.
Oh my gosh, guys, I pressed record and I guess I wasn't recording. We were talking about our garden. Our beautiful garden here. So we have one blackberry bush left this year. Needs a little love. It was not pruned as well as it should have. And usually this whole area right here, and then between those raspberry bushes that are all messed up and our little woodshed, is all big garden.
I see a lot of those raspberries over there, right?
Yeah. Jojo likes eating lots of raspberries, right? All summer long. And then our 2 blueberry bushes, because we used to have a giant fence around this and a couple more blueberry bushes and some grapes, but the grapes just were not doing well, so we just took it all down. And that's all that's left. Tragedy.
I don't even know how to fully process it. I literally just put this book down, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, and all I have to say is I was a little surprised. At first I thought that I was going to not like the ending because there was a part of the ending that was really awkward for a moment. And I say awkward because it just kind of happened really quickly, without any foreshadowing, without any real direction. It was just like all of a sudden Pip put her phone down and made a choice and just went for it. And at first I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to like this. I don't know what's going to happen. And somebody who was, I guess, not 100% involved in the investigation, like they were not on the list and they were not really considered. I guess there was some like vibes about it throughout the story, but it really just didn't feel like he should have been the murderer, I suppose. Anyways, once that situation happened, we find out that it's not as clean cut. It's not a clean cut murder. There's more to it than just one thing. And so towards the end of the story, it gets a little intense and there's a lot more suspense and thriller type of qualities to the book. And it really goes really quickly. And by the end of the story, I was happy. I really was, to be honest. Pip finds all the answers. We figure out who did what. And it all makes sense after looking back on everything. And I'm pretty satisfied with it all. There was a romantic ending, but what I liked about it was this was not a romantic book. It was a YA murder mystery, thriller-ish type of a story. And they did really well on that. I had already mentioned that at the beginning of the book. I felt it was kind of awkward trying to get into her personal life, like Pip's personal life, because there was so much focused on the case right away. But once you get into it, you feel like you know her, you feel like you understand her as a character, and you kind of are excited to see where she goes and where she takes everything. She does make some really stupid choices. Obviously, she's a teen. She's going to make stupid choices, especially when she's trying to solve a murder. And she's obviously not qualified for that. But, yeah, so there's love angle between Pip and the suspected murderer's brother is not super romantic. It's very sweet, very fun, very different. And then the resolution is just very quiet. simple and it's not a leap. It's not a leap at all. You kind of feel them connecting in very special ways throughout the whole story, and then for them to just kind of like get together at the end was a little bit it was a little bit satisfying without being cheesy or putting too much on the romantic aspect. And there was a threat to life. There was a point where it could have gone either way. We could have lost Pip to the surprise murderer. It was close. There was a close call for a second. And I really just have to say, I thought it was really good. Nothing really, really, really fancy about the writing. It is a debut author, so I feel like there is not as much of a depth as when you like write a lot and you are an accomplished writer. However, the story was fun. It was absolutely incredibly fun. I enjoyed the whole story. It was at first a little bit of a stretch to believe certain things, but at the end it completely made sense and I was very satisfied. And I have to say that I would definitely give this story a 4 out of 5 stars. 4 because I enjoyed the story. I love the way that she wrote it in the mixed media. The little bit of romance was not overdone. It wasn't cheesy. It wasn't forced. And the actual crime solving was actually fun to watch and kind of guess and figure out things. Part of my like interpretation from my last little check-in with you was sort of right, sort of not. There's a lot that goes into this story, so I recommend it. I think you guys will enjoy it. If you enjoy an easy YA thriller type of story, this is definitely a fun one to pick up. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you've read it or what you thought of it, and I will talk to you next video. Bye.
No,
What did you find?
he's my favorite pal ever. And her name is Olivia.
Yeah.
See, she loves me. The end.